Old concept here, late fees at the video store. Sometimes you get surprised with just how expensive it could be to cover those late fees. So what do you do?
If you have a niece, well, you can try to pimp her out to take care of it.
It's a true story, and we got it today on My Crazy Family.
My crazy family. My crazy family.
Welcome to the show. And if you got a crazy family story, that's what we want to hear. Go to crazyfampod.com and you can share your story anonymously with us at crazyfampod.com or call in 833-CRAY-FAM, 833-272-9326, 833-272-9326 to share your crazy family story with us and do it completely anonymously. And hey, we're trying to grow the show because it is new. And one of those big things is letting people be aware of us on Apple Podcasts. So if you so care to take a couple of seconds to leave us a review there, take it, send us a screenshot, send it to contest at crazyfampod.com. You'll be entered in to win that $500 Amazon gift card here before the holidays, just for leaving us a review there. If you don't do Apple Podcasts, leave it on social media, leave it on another platform. Just send us a screenshot to contest at crazyfampod.com to be entered in to win that. It's Tony and Stacey Cole with you on today's episode of the program. What's going on?
Well, in just a few more months, really. We are, 3 months when we're recording this right now, about 3 months away from Christmas.
I know. It's really fucking scary because it's like this year went really, really fast. But actually, by the time this airs, we're probably closer to like 2, honestly. So
yeah,
get your holiday shopping done. So yeah, leave that review and then send the screenshot contest at crazyfampod.com. There was a lot to look at on today's episode of what we're going to be covering. So where do you want to start?
Why don't we start with a mom who loves a good discount, and who doesn't love a good discount? Mm-hmm. So this story goes, my mom's the type who's always going to fall into the discount trap while shopping. And she sees anything, furniture, food, clothes, just about any household applications as a best buy whenever a discount tag is attached to it. My mother has a big interest toward furniture, in particularly furniture with a vintage vibe. The main road to the market, I'm assuming grocery store, always drives past a secondhand furniture store where my mom shops at and buys at least a few furniture items every grocery trip to decorate our house with. How many times do you go to the grocery store in a week?
Probably 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, so it's starting to add up. The main issue I've observed with the secondhand shop is it is full of the vintage furniture that my mom absolutely adored. And because their stock all came from donations or people who dumped their old furniture for new ones, their supply piles high and discounts are always happening. My mom's under the fallacy that she's getting the best deal of furniture and buys a ton without considering how we really didn't need it in the first place. Mm-hmm. Both me and my dad are really frustrated with this. My brother seems to side with us as well, but he's too young to really care. I don't want our cash being spent on meaningless stuff just because she got addicted to buying old, ugly furniture. She uses the excuse that it's a great deal and the shop is the one that's getting scammed, not us, to justify the whole dump load of old secondhand junky furniture that's piled up in her house. Not only that, but she asked us to dust it and clean the furniture that she brought in, probably never to touch again and slowly accumulate more dust over the months. Some furniture is also mildly dysfunctional and constantly she's asking my father to fix it, which doubles the burden onto him. We couldn't simply cut her access to the bank because she does work to keep our household functioning and somewhat clean. We rely on her for groceries while the rest of us go to school and work, so she does need those funds. We've tried to talk to her, and she just keeps fake promising to only spend it on the better deals, which unsurprisingly enough accounts for nearly the same amount that she purchases. I feel positioned in an argument loop, so I'm not really sure how to approach this without cutting off her funds. Yikes.
There's an interesting, and it was kind of said in the story, There's an interesting mindset, I think, with individuals who are buying things to in excess and where it doesn't even make sense. You don't need them. You don't necessarily want them. It's this compulsion that some people have of, I am getting such a great deal and they're getting screwed over and they don't even realize it. And I'm going to take this. And it's kind of, it's a dark seated thing because it's not just like, oh, I'm getting a really good deal. There's a whole other component to it of they're getting screwed over. Like I'm screwing them over, but it's fine because I'm doing it this way. I'm not actively like trying to fuck somebody, but because they don't realize it, I'm going to take advantage of this.
Yeah, and it's perfectly legal and it's encouraged to shop sales. You know, there's ads put out, there's incentives, there's rewards cards, there's all kinds of things having to do with shopping and getting you to come back and continue to, you know, maybe take part in this compulsion.
And it's not even just a sale thing. It's this idea that the other person, especially like a resale shop or something, it's the idea that the other person is unaware of how much they're losing. Because like sales are sales. Like you go to Target, there's a sale. The company is aware that they're selling shit at a lower price and they found a way to make money at it. When you go to like resale or a garage sale or antique store or something, you know, it's up to the store to price that correctly. And a lot of times you go in there and find something that they may not realize what they have. And it's this idea like, I'm going to secretly get this out from under them. And it's kind of twisted. It's a kind of weird way of thinking about things because what other part of your life are you like, I really want to screw this person over? It's not healthy. And I grew up with that. My dad's kind of like that. And I don't know what it is. And he's a nice guy. He's not like ever been like actively out trying to screw anybody over. But when it comes to like going to a store of that nature, and if he finds something that he knows is ridiculously low priced, at least when I was a kid sometimes, he'd be more apt to buy it. And he never hoarded anything, but I remember this joy that he would get. And and it's not just like, there's a joy of getting a sale when you know that something is there on purpose. They just trying to get rid of something. But then there's a whole other joy where like the other person isn't aware of what they're losing. And some people really get a real kick out of that. And when I was younger, I thought, well, okay, I get it. As I get older, I'm like, I feel like I should tell the person, like, you do realize that's worth like 10 times what you're selling it for. And not necessarily just get it out from under them because you can. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's just, you know, it's free market. It is what it is. But I don't know. I guess I feel a little guilt if somebody were doing that to me, you know?
You don't want to take advantage of somebody. You know, if they don't know that they have that ugly painting sitting in that cracked up frame is a real Van Gogh.
Yeah.
You don't want to just sneak off like quietly. Yeah, this is an ugly painting, but I'll take it off your hands.
Yeah.
You kind of want them to know, hey, this painting your grandmother left you could fund your retirement.
Yeah.
You know, you might want to look into that.
It just seems, it seems off in the way society should be running. But society is so far off that this is far from its biggest downfalls. But yeah, it's a weird compulsion. And it's not just, there's something to it. There's a difference between going to Target and getting a good sale and going to something like this and knowing that you're getting like a crazy deal that probably was an error or an error in someone's judgment. It's different. Like when you like see the pickers and stuff, they're out there. Look, I have to lowball you because I have to make money on this. And they're flat out honest about it. And if you want it gone, I'll take it from you. That's different. But when it's already there and it's so low, I don't know. That some of that just seems, I don't know. I don't know that my conscience would be cool with doing that, honestly.
Well, people who go to garage sales, sometimes I feel like their main intent isn't to just find that one thing that they're looking for. It's to find that thing that the people don't know is super valuable.
And sometimes people do know what they have is worth far more than what they're selling it for. They're just trying to get rid of it. They don't care. I've done that before. I've had one house, when I was in Branson, we had so many damn rooms in that house. I had, I think like 14 televisions or something. It was insane.
Oh my God.
It was fucking insane. And there's like one in every room. And then like on the patio and then there and here. And when we moved, like we went down to like having 4, or something. And I had all these TVs. And I just want to get rid of these fucking things. So, I mean, and they were like the TCLs. Honestly, they probably sell for about $300 at Walmart. And they were pretty close to current model, but I knew I wasn't going to get retail. I just wanted them gone. So I'm like $100 a piece. And people are like, that's a really good, I know. I said, I know I could probably charge a little bit more, but it's going to take me that much more time. And I just want these gone like by the end of the weekend. So that's one thing. But yeah, there is that aspect of it. I mean, in some aspects, I guess it's okay. I mean, garage selling can be a fun sport too, if you want to make money, if you know what you're looking for, and you know what you can flip.
Oh, absolutely.
But at the same time, I don't know, especially like old Nintendo games and things of that nature, things that were nobody thought had any value. Most people don't realize there's collectors out there that will pay thousands of dollars for specific games if they're in good condition, just to have the box and to have the cartridge itself. That's turned into a really big money-making thing. Had anyone known this back in like 98, 99, if you would have invested in like 20, Super Mario 64 games, which I had one in the box. I think I threw the boxes away. Like a single one unwrapped, tens of thousands of dollars.
You
today.
pay for college education for your kid with one of those,
You would have spent a couple $100, and today it would have been an insane investment and something that I think my parents would have rolled their eyes at.
Oh, absolutely.
And I would have too. I would have never expected that shit, because at the time, like, you buy something equivalent, would have been like an Atari cartridge, which you could get for like a nickel at a garage sale or even anywhere. Nobody cared.
Or they're dropping them at the curb and putting a post on Facebook. Hey, these are free if you want them.
Exactly. Goodwill or something. So you never really saw that as being, there'll be a market for that someday. We collected Happy Meal toys. I remember doing that for many years.
Yeah.
And my mom, they'll be worth a lot of money. They're really not. Most of them are really not worth much of anything. It's like if all the random things we thought, we're going to get ahead of the curve on this, we picked the wrong thing.
God, yeah. I have some Minion toys. I remember when Minions came out and McDonald's was big on those with the Happy Meals.
Yeah.
I was getting Happy Meals all the time because I wanted a certain Minion.
Yeah.
That's not going to be worth anything. Nobody gives a shit.
Some are, some aren't. I don't know what the Minions are, but there are some Happy Meal toys that do have value. But we're not talking crazy here. We're talking maybe like $25 or something that... and there are some that do have high value, but they're like rare, super rare, and like misprints and things of that nature. It's not this crazy market where it's going to like pay for retirement, which my mom joked about. Because I thought, because there was books about it at the time, like, collect this and that. So I remember collecting I have a duffel bag full of them, and they're unopened. They're in the original packaging from the 90s, and they just sit. Maybe someday. They'll have a more value, but as of this time, not a whole lot. But it's interesting when people do things like that. I had an ex-in-law, that wonderful woman, but she collected furniture like that. And it was like, you go to her house. This was a great grandmother of my ex, and just the nicest woman in the world. But oh my gosh, she was hoarding furniture. And
wow.
And she had and it was really neat. It was like stuff out of castles. She knew what she was getting. And it's like, this is beautiful shit, but where are you going to put it? And her house was lined with things. It was like a maze at some points to like, where are these couches going? Where is this buffet going? And I think it was kind of a compulsion and kind of I don't know. She also grew up in the Depression and literally like lived in a tent and had nothing but like a stuffed animal for many, many years. And she grew older, and her husband became very successful and had a lot of money. And I think it kind of goes back to that of, get the really good deal and hold on to the things. But it kind of got to quite an extreme. I feel bad for whoever is going to go through that home at some point and try and get rid of things, because it's a lot of stuff.
Well, and that's the thing too. It happens when somebody passes away and you have to go sort through all their crap. I mean, I'm sitting here looking around my office right now. I would feel bad for anybody who had to go through 2 or 3 piles I've got of textbooks and things that I'm not going to use. I don't know why I'm still hanging on to them. I'm I
Yeah.
have the license I was trying to get. I don't need the textbooks, but people are just weird. Especially if you grew up without things, and then you are able to purchase things, you just feel like you have this need to continue to purchase.
You do.
And I think that's what goes on with a lot of people.
I'm not a hoarder.
They have the ability now.
I'm not a hoarder, but I do have a lot of stuff. And if there's something I would have done different in life for the last 20 years of being an adult, it would have been have less stuff. Because I feel like sometimes that anchored me down of well, if I got to move all this stuff and I don't want to sell it because I just bought it and this and that. But today I'm not moving anywhere, but now I'll buy things and go, I'm going to work on this. It's going to be a project. I'm going to do this. And I do have full intent, but I got to slow that down because I'm I have so many projects in front of me now. That's I got to wait. I can't, I don't have time to even touch half of these projects at the moment. And then the thing sits in the garage or it sits over there. It sits in the corner of my office. And I keep saying, I'll get to it. But by the time 10 o'clock rolls around and I'm done recording shows, the last thing I want to do is start on a project.
No.
So I kind of get the mindset, but I'm nowhere. I don't think I could ever be that where I'm hoarders where you watch it and they're finding, old pets underneath sofas that they hadn't seen in 10 years. Oh, there's Smarfles, or what's left of Smarfles. It looks like the rats got at Smarfles a little bit. That could be scary. Or pet hoarding. I don't know how people even do that with the smells and things of that nature. I don't know how they survive, quite honestly, how the human body doesn't shut down after the ammonia at some point and you just die.
Yes, it's a mental illness for sure. And it's that just need to continue to hold on to things and not ever let go of things figuratively and literally. It's really a tragic thing. So
I'm not looking forward. I mean, obviously, I'm not looking forward to my parents dying. No one really does for the most part. Although on this show, you may have some arguments that some people do look forward to it. But when that, eventually when that happens someday, I'm an only child. There's no brothers or sisters to, divvy up the shit to. And
it's you.
I'm going to have a really hard time going through their stuff, I think, because I'm going to see so many sentimental things that I, grew up with or this or that. Yep. And I don't have places for it. I mean, I'll have to get a bigger house or something or pack it up. And I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with half of it. Maybe a storage unit and pass, some of it on to Harper. I have no fucking idea. Not so much the furniture, but the stuff. Like the vases, the dishware, and things that you used. I have no problem dumping couches and shit like that. But on the clothes, I'm not so that. But there's going to be a lot of stuff, and there's an attic that's full, and I don't know. It's going to be a interesting time. Let's go to our next story. What else we got going on?
Absolutely. So this one says, I have one strict rule in my house: no alcohol. Period. I am a recovering addict and I don't want anything to do with it, which is fair.
Sure.
My son knocked over a cup and you could smell the booze. After that fiasco, this started off a little right into the story. It looks like the mother-in-law was over and the cup that was knocked over was the mother-in-law's. So it says, after that fiasco, my mother-in-law apologized and said it won't happen again. I knew that was bullshit. I didn't want to interfere with my kids being able to see their grandparents, so I'm just staying in my room while they're here. They know how I feel about it. Well, 2 days later, she gets really close to my face, and you could smell it on her breath. I hate this so much. They've turned it around on me because I'm not interacting with them at all while they're with us. I told my husband how I felt, and he's not complaining, but I fucking hate how they've made it my fault, and now they're leaving early. I just needed to vent because I feel like screaming and I want to throw their asses out of the house so bad. I'm doing everything in my power to just remain calm and ignore it. That sucks. That absolutely sucks, especially if the mother-in-law knows that this person is a recovering addict and you have the balls to walk in and be drinking a drug in front of these people,
especially when the person, that they're not cool with it. I get it. Sometimes where it's like, I'm in recovery or something, but I don't care if you have it. That's up to you. That's your choice. It doesn't bother me. And many are fine with that. But if you are specifically stating, no, please don't. and you can't respect that, I mean, here's what I would say to the writer of that. I think your mother-in-law probably has an addiction problem herself.
Yeah.
If she can't quite grasp it. So I would say maybe look at this with I mean, I get the anger, but maybe look at it with a little more grace and understand that the struggle that you've gone through, maybe she's in kind of the early stages of that, or maybe not even recognizing that yet. If she can't simply respect that, because if you can't go without, when someone is specifically requesting you to please don't do that here, then there's a problem. If you can't do that, that's kind of the big red flag of you can't go without. Yes, there is certainly a problem going on. Or at
100%.
Yeah, I mean, if you need it, then go out, spend a day shopping, go get some cocktails for lunch, shop more until it's worn off, and then come back home. But do it so you're not like actively, using while you're there. If you need your little break, your little escape or whatever, there's ways of doing that without, violating what someone else has, tried really hard to participate, to take themselves away from.
And you have to respect somebody else's home too. It's one thing if the son and daughter-in-law are over at the in-laws and there's alcohol there, it's their house. You need to make a choice. Are you comfortable going there? They serve alcohol, but they're in your house where your rules are in effect. So that's there. It's disturbing. And I think you're right. There probably is an issue here, because if you can't go 10, 12 hours without alcohol, something's going on. There's
an issue. Yeah, there's a dependency going. And here's what I'd also say too. When someone's visiting and you don't like the rules of the house, or then there's always a hotel. You can always go stay at the La Quinta down the road and you'll be just fine. Go do that. And you know what? Sometimes that works great. And it's maybe a little, I can't stay at my own in-laws house. Fine. No big fucking deal. Not everybody gets along 24/7. Not everybody is designed to be hanging out, days on end with each other. Sometimes it is just visit, spend your time together, go back to your respective places, refresh, come back together. I found that honestly to be some of the best visits I've had, where we're not under the same roof. We can spend most of the day together, heck, even into most of the evening. And it's nothing to do with alcohol or anything of that nature, but just tolerance of one another and getting that break, getting that way to kind of recollect yourself without them just being in the bedroom down the hall. That's not that bad. It costs a little bit of money, yes. But that money is worth your sanity too. And if you don't have it, then you don't have it. You're right. You got to kind of live with the situation. But if you can, there's cheap hotels that are safe that you can go stay at and just use as a lodging area. Absolutely. And I one thing that we find doing this podcast is people have a difficult time with drawing boundaries and being able to speak up and say, this is what I need. This is my house. Yeah. And these are my rules. Sure. And I feel like humanity could do so much better if people felt that they could stand up and say, here's what I need as a human being. Can you help me with that? Well, especially with parents and in-laws, because there seems to be such a level of narcissism with a lot of parents where no matter what, no matter how old your children get, you'll always be their parent, but you can't always continue to control them or constantly argue your beliefs versus theirs, especially if they've already developed them and they've never changed. And it's not like they're 18 and they're going on some new, kick. If they're like in their 40s or 30s and they've been living their life for a long time and this is how they're doing their life, you can't just go in and be like, well, it will work so much better if you did it like this. Really? Because it doesn't look like it worked out that well for you. So why would I be taking the advice? But you can't say that because that's a real asshole thing to say. But it's true. It is true. I mean, unless that's what I don't get is there's a lot of parental figures that try to give advice and advice that like, well, if they followed it, why it didn't seem to work out that well. Why are they giving this sort of advice? In my mind, when I'm giving advice to my child at some point when they're an adult, it's going to be because it's from experience, not just because someone told me this, or I believed that, but I've never really tried it out in life. Yeah, I don't know. I think that should come from a place of experience and proven track record. then
You would hope.
Yeah, but a lot of times it's just, I do it like this. Why? Because you did? How did that work out for you?
That's how we've always done it.
Yeah. There's
That's my favorite.
So much of that. That's how my daddy did it. It's how my grandpappy did it. And that's great. And they ended up dying drunk and unhappy and racist or whatever it was.
Right.
It's like, that seems like a lovely way of living. How about you flip the script at some point and go, I'm going to be my own person. There's a concept.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's an interesting one. Should we go to a phone call?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, this is, you got to call in 833-CRAY-FAM, 833-272-9326 to share your crazy family story with us. Let's turn this elevator music down a little bit before we do that. Okay, here we go. Let's hear this. Hi.
I want to remain anonymous and preferably you mention that you could disguise my voice. I prefer that as well.
It's disguised.
So I guess I don't know where to begin. I've had, first when I heard the concept of the show, I thought, that, I don't have no crazy family stories. And then I started really thinking about it as I do at work. I think about a lot of things. Anyway, to digress. My parents divorced when I was really young. And, you could say that I kind of had a broken home, and my dad got custody of me and my sister, and we were only I believe a year apart from each other. But anyway, so my mom kind of popped in and out of my life here and there, and my parents tried to make things work after they got a divorce. And at the time, I was young. I was in elementary school. Basically, I was moved around a lot as a kid, and I didn't really stay from one school for very long. And at the time when my mom and dad had separated and divorced, my mom joined the Army. And when my parents tried to make things work out, next thing you know, I was a kid living in Utah. Oh, sorry, you and your sister, we're moving you all the way from Utah to Georgia. And it was there that things got worse. My parents didn't work out again from Georgia, and I seen some stuff at a young age that I shouldn't have seen. I seen my mom, she tried to, during one of their fights. And keep in mind, this was on a military base as well. I need to add that in there. It was actually Fort Benning, Georgia. And the kids there were really cruel to me, and they picked on me, and always started fights with me. And I just was a young kid in elementary school wanting to be accepted, And I could only find one friend that would actually let me, we'd play toys, whatever. But anyway, back to my parents, what ended up happening was they got in a lot of fights, and I seen my mom, I guess, I don't know what was going through her mind at the moment during one of the fights, but she grabbed a gun, and I guess she was going to try to use it on herself. But luckily my dad was there, and he managed to pull it away from her, and nothing became of that, thank God. But I freaked out. My young child in my mind, I'm sorry, I'm kind of nervous. That's probably why I'm fumbling some of my words. But anyway, I just knew something told me to hide the knives from her. If I knew at that age she tried to use the gun, that was not good, so I knew to hide the knives. And the only place that I could think to hide them was under my mattress in my bedroom, because I figured that would be the last place anybody would look. I know it sounds weird, but my idea then was prevent anything that could potentially happen. And then other parts, I guess somehow the military caught on to what was going on, because next thing you know, I remember my dad had to sit down with me and my sister, and he was talking, and I didn't quite understand it at the time. He was telling me some people are going to be asking you some questions, and if you don't give them the right answers and tell them this and that, you might end up be living with strangers, with people you don't even know. And I guess what he was referring to was, I guess somehow, you know, they were potentially throwing the threat of putting me and my sister in foster home, I suppose. I'm sure that, I guess that's what that meant. But I don't want to keep rambling on. I probably have some more stories down the line that I could probably tell you. I'm enjoying the podcast. Every episode you guys put up there, I'm just consuming it as soon as I can. I enjoy it thoroughly, and I hope that the show is a big success. And I noticed that nobody else has called in, and everybody's only written in so far. I figured maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm the first to break the ice. I don't know. But I hope to hear this on the show and your guys' feedback. I hope you guys have a good day. Thank you.
You are one of the first to break the ice, so thank you for calling in. And everyone is welcome to call in and share their stories, and I can disguise a voice just like that. 833-CRAY-FAM or 833-272-9326, the phone number to call right now, 24/7, to share your family story with us. Going back to the story, my goodness, thoughts?
Well, no kid should see their parent pulling a gun for any reason other than self-defense against a stranger. You shouldn't be seeing it for purposes of possibly committing suicide or going after their father. I'm so sad for this individual, but it sounds like there's an awareness of the shit that he went through, and he's on the other side of it, I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Just to be a military kid and moving around a lot, it's hard enough to be a kid in the same school for the entire time. I can't imagine moving.
Yeah.
It just, you have like no solid ground. You have no foundation, no roots anywhere. And kids can be cruel. And he pointed out that he was picked on in elementary school. So, you know, if you don't have that solid home base and then you go to school and you're being picked on, it turns the odds against you. So I commend you for being a strong individual and realizing that what you went through was wrong and hard. And it sounds like you've got your shit together.
And one of the things that may bring some solace, and they probably already aware of this, but anybody else listening that may not have connected the dots, is what we're dealing with here is mental illness. There's the mother clearly had something, maybe the dad too, to a certain extent, but it sounds like the dad was almost just trying to, survive as well and keep things under wraps and kind of keep things, how did he describe it? Keep it going, what did he say? He said something about keep things safe. Together, keep things together, I think is what he said. And when you're in that situation as a parent and you got kids, that's kind of the role you take initially, and then things still keep getting worse. But you think that if you keep things together here, they won't, the thing won't break the dam down this way. But with mental illness, no, the dam will keep breaking. It will overflow this one, and then it's going to get to the next dam, and it's going to overflow that one. No matter how many dams you put up, until that mental illness is under fucking control, you're just going to keep breaking dams. Yeah. And it's going to get to the point where this is just going to flood the fucking city. And that's what happens. I've been down the road myself. I've not been the one with the illness, but I've been the one that did almost something exactly like that was said in this story of getting a weapon away from someone who was intending on killing themselves, and then also had it turned my direction and lunging at it and getting it away. And it's a scary, horrible situation. Luckily, my children did not see that, but they were aware of what happened. And it's a very, very, very scary moment to be in, and then just to realize that someone has that capability and you have children. And that's where, and maybe at the time, things were looked at differently, 10, 20, 30 years ago on how things are handled. Today, the goal at that point is just, I will do whatever it takes to keep my child safe. And that meant for me walking away. from the relationship and not looking back. And I'm happy I did. But it's such a slow, it's an insidious thing. It's an insidious thing that is going on. The person needs to want to admit there's something to get help, but if they don't, again, dams just keep breaking, and there's nothing you can do on the other side other than keep patching it, and it will eventually break. Trust me. That's why mental health is so fucking important. That's why I'm such an advocate of it. But yeah, it can be horribly scary. But someone can come back from that, and live a healthy life. But they have to want to. They have to admit it. They have to deal with the demons that did what they did. But it's a scary thing, and you just have to remove yourself, remove anyone that's you care about from that situation for their own safety. But it's scary shit. It is absolute scary shit, and it is traumatizing. But a lot of times that's where you got to look. And a lot of kids aren't insightful enough to do it because you're kids. But those sort of things will end up making you stronger. Maybe a situation you didn't want to. But I saw a meme the other day, something to the effect of all the shit you've gone through will someday be part of the survival guide for someone else through your stories. And that's kind of what I've used. A lot of the things I've gone through of sharing is just, this can help somebody. This can help somebody in another situation and get some perspective on things before they go horribly, horribly awry. So something like that, you got to remove yourself from those situations because it's not safe, because you don't know what the potential is. Fuck, listen to True Crime Today, our other podcast, and you can see when things go way off. That's why I always joke. I'm like, I was one step away from a Dateline episode in a very sarcastic, sadistic way. But it's fucking scary.
And that's how you cope with it too, is you figure out a way to make it something that you grow from and learn from. And it's a horrible, shitty experience. And that's not how you should be learning things. That's not how you should be growing. But that's the story that you were dealt. So you have to find a way to deal with it. Yeah.
And deal with it and understand, it's not your fault, but it is, and I hate this term, your truth. But it's more your story. Yeah. It's your story.
It's your story.
It's what's made you who you are today. And you shouldn't be ashamed of it, but you can use it for good. You can use it to help other people.
Mm-hmm.
I know we got one more that we got to get to here, and I'm excited about it because it's fucking horrible sounding. I shouldn't be excited about it, but it sounds like there's some humor in looking back at what fucking happened.
Exactly. And this came in to our website. This is from Beth. Mm-hmm. And our website, if you want to submit, is crazyfampod.com to share your crazy family story, much like this one. It says, I have plenty of what the fuck stories of my family. Today, I'm going to tell y'all about the time that my uncle tried to pimp me out. Most days after school, I would walk to Ashley's house, and from there, we would walk to Brian's. Brian had an older brother named Matt that always hung around us, constantly hitting on me. It's important to know that I'm 16 at that time and he was 23. I would also like to point out that I was not interested in him at all. Anyways, Matt worked at a video store in the small town that we lived in, one that my uncle apparently racked up some late fees in. He had close to $100 in late fees. I know I wouldn't believe it either if I hadn't seen the balance myself. So my uncle tells Matt that if he would erase all his late fees, he could take me out. Matt agreed and erased all of his late fees. Matt then tells me that he wants to take me to an ICP, Insane Clown Posse concert, first of all. He's a grown-ass man. And second of all, I am terrified of clowns, so I obviously declined. Damn it, Beth. That's a hell of a story.
Well, at least it wasn't like you can fuck her or something like that.
Right. But you don't want to be pimping out your niece.
You don't have the ability to say, yes, she will go out with you if you erase my late fees.
Good Lord. And what's Insane Clown Posse? I
never understood.
Have you ever been to one of their concerts?
No, I don't listen to anything like that.
No, I don't either. I'm afraid of clowns too.
Sure.
If I see a clown coming at Halloween, I don't answer the door. I just throw the candy out. You stay the fuck away from my house.
Do you scream that at the children too? Like as they're coming up?
No, but I'll just toss the candy out onto the sidewalk and they like pick it up and go away. I watch them through the little peephole in our door. Like, no.
Strange woman that throws candy like yards away and screams, "Get the fuck off my porch!" And yeah, because it's only a clown's though. Everything else, like the kids are walking up, he's like, "Oh, that's so cute. I love your little lion outfit." And the clown kid, "Get the fuck away from me, you demon!" Isn't that Stacey Cole from the radio? It is. Wow, shit really went downhill after she left.
Oh, God.
Wow.
So Beth, I totally can relate to the clown thing, and I'm sorry that your uncle tried to pimp you out.
Yeah. That's never a good thing. But I wonder how he got his late fees covered.
Yeah, right.
Did he erase them? But then like just the date never happened, and then
that's what I'm gathering is I don't see that the date happened. So somebody owes somebody $100.
Did the late fees then return like magically? I don't know.
Maybe. How do you explain that one to Blockbuster?
What was your word?
I had to reinstate the fees. Why?
What was the most you ever paid in late fees?
Oh, upwards of like $20.
Yeah.
I totally forgot to return a movie and I didn't rewind it. You always had to rewind it. And I know some people are like, what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, VHS tapes, they're actual tape. Yeah. And when you got to the end, you had to rewind it or they'd freaking charge you like $1 or $2.
Yeah.
And it was like $1 a day that late fee. Mm-hmm. And I remember there was a video, I don't remember which one it was, but I'd totally forgotten about it. And I remember I was sitting on the couch and I looked over and I went, what is that? Shit. Because there was really no way for them they weren't calling you saying, hey, you have a late movie.
No.
And we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have apps, popping up with a reminder that, hey, this needs to be returned. Mm-hmm. It was all in your brain. You had to remember that shit.
We used to exercise our brains.
I looked at it and I'm like, oh my God, I got to return that. And I dropped it in the bin and ran away. Mm-hmm. Well, the next time I went in to rent, they don't let you rent unless you pay your late fees. And it was like $22.
Yeah. Be Kind Rewind. I think my record was around there. I tried to get everything back. At some point, though, wouldn't it get like so high that it'd be like you own the video now? Yeah,
you actually would own the movie, but it was like $50, $60, something like that, I think.
There was one place that I did, and it was a high fee. I think it was like $30-$40. And I'm like, okay. And then I didn't pay it. I just left. And I waited a month, and then I came back and opened a new account with like slightly different information.
And that's the other thing that you could do, but they would take your license. They would take your license.
Yeah.
So you'd almost have to have a fake ID. Not that I've ever done that.
Back then, I don't think the computers necessarily cross-referenced anything.
Right.
I think it was just like you go into like in a spreadsheet, and it's just another account. Because I remember several times I would rent from them afterwards, and you give them your information. They're like, well, which one are you? Are you the one with this or that? And then I have to make sure I'm picking the right one.
Right. Yeah.
And then, but it would exist, but you'd have to, and they would just be like, whatever, because it's a high school kid and they don't really give a shit.
Yeah, he didn't care.
These are the struggles we used to go through when renting movies. It wasn't just press a button on your TV and then boom.
No, you physically had to go somewhere. It's like Redbox.
Well, yeah.
But a store, and it had this icky area in the back where men would come out and look at you and sheepishly walk by you. And you always wondered what happened in that back little corner.
Blockbuster didn't have that, but of all places, Family Video did.
Yes.
The name of the place is called Family Video. So you're thinking, and you could rent children's movies for free there. It was like the library. But in the back corner, there was a porn section. And then there was like a big circle mirror, like the corner mirrors that was in the corner where you could kind of see around the corner of like what's going on. And it was always just like, it was like, what's down the corner? Oh God, that's the porn section.
It was bizarre. Family Video with the porn section.
Exactly. It's like, what else is back in that section? Is like the local priest back there too or something?
No, you never know.
But it was a well, I remember like when Netflix came out, Netflix was not an app. Netflix was literally a service where it would mail you the DVDs. And
yeah, you had to drop those things in the mail.
And we thought that was amazing because there was no late fees and you could just drop them back whenever. Then your next one in your queue would come to you. I don't know if they even still do that, but that's why it was called Netflix, because you'd order them through their website and you'd have a queue and then it would just keep sending you videos. And it was really convenient. We thought that was great at the time. And then I remember the first time I learned there was a Netflix app, which was what, 8 years ago?
10 years? I think so, yeah.
Like not that long ago, quite honestly. Maybe about 10. Harper was born. And the fact that you could download and stream a show, that blew my mind. Like I knew you could watch things online, but it was very small snippets of this and that. It wasn't like full blown movies in high quality. And I was like, holy shit, this is like the future. And now that's how we get everything. And it really wasn't that long ago. It really was not. We're talking about 10 years. And if even. And that's just been, we just adopted it as that's the norm. And if you're, a little kid, you know no different from that. All right. That's going to wrap up today's episode of My Crazy Family. Thank you guys for listening. If you like the show and you want a chance to win that $500 Amazon gift card, be sure to leave us a review there on Apple Podcasts and then send a screenshot of that to me. You simply do that by going over to your email and sending it to contest@crazyfampod.com. You can then you'll get in the drawing for that gift card by leaving us a review there on Apple Podcasts. And share your story. 833-CRAY-FAM, 833-272-9326, or write in at crazyfampod.com. Until next time, for Stacy, I am Tony Bruschi. Thank you for listening to another episode of My Crazy Family.
My crazy
family.
My crazy
family.